The Crush.
The Crush 1993. The Crush is a 1993 American psychological thriller film starring Alicia Silverstone as Adrian Forrester, in her film debut. When writer Nick Eliot moves to a new city to work at a magazine, Adrian Forrester, the teenage daughter of the owners whose guest house he rents, immediately makes her attraction to him clear. Nick struggles to defend himself against Adrian's advances, and as his obsession grows, the situation becomes increasingly dangerous. Plot. Nick Eliot, a 28-year-old writer, gets a job at Peak magazine and stays at a boarding house owned by Cliff and Liv Forrester. The handsome Nick soon meets Adrian, the couple's 14-year-old daughter, a precocious girl who falls madly in love with him and visits frequently. One afternoon, while Nick is showering, she drops by the boarding house with a gift, and after he tells her he needs to get dressed, she catches a glimpse of his bare bottom and smiles mischievously. Adrian invites Nick to a party his parents are hosting at their house. Without confirming his attendance, Nick decides to stop by. As he enters the house, Nick is captivated by Adrian's stunning piano playing. Nick follows Adrian to her parents' balcony afterward. He ponders if she were 10 years older, while she flirtatiously interrupts, asking what he would do. Redirecting the conversation, Adrian suddenly encourages Nick to take her for a ride in his convertible. Nick agrees to drive Adrian to a location of her choosing, a romantic, secluded area where she kisses him. Although initially receptive to the kiss, Nick stops when he realizes he's being seduced. Without giving her any input, Nick drives Adrian to her house. Adrian's crush on Nick intensifies, but he quickly catches on and tries to dissuade her. He begins a budding romance with his coworker Amy. Adrian becomes jealous and runs into Amy in the woods while she is gathering twigs to roast marshmallows and corrects her when he spots a bee nest in a tree, identifying them as wasps as a subtle warning. Adrian continues to boldly pursue Nick, sneaking into his room to rewrite his article, which impresses his boss, Michael, and even going so far as to undress in front of him when he accidentally hides in his closet. I can say here that Adrian has a sculpted body magnificently sculpted by nature, a body full of femininity and with that flirtatiousness we love. But she's a dangerous woman, perhaps that makes her more attractive, depending on the individual, but I think you'd have to make a great effort not to fall madly in love with her. When Nick continues to reject his advances, Adrian's actions turn destructive. He steals Nick's favorite childhood photo, defaces a car he has restored, and erases his computer drives, but is unable to convince Adrian's parents of his guilt. Adrian's friend, Cheyenne, attempts to warn Nick about her, but has an accident at the riding school she and Adrian attend together when Adrian sabotages her horse's saddle. After Adrian spies on Nick in bed with Amy, he locks Amy in her dark room and empties a wasp nest into the air vents. Amy survives, and Nick, convinced that Adrian is a big problem, attempts to find new accommodations. However, Adrian accuses him of assaulting her using evidence obtained from a used condom in Nick's trash. He is subsequently arrested. After his boss, Michael, releases him and suspends him until trial, Cheyenne tells Nick that she knows he is innocent and that Adrian has a history of obsessive behavior, citing a previous crush on a camp counselor named Rick who accidentally died from eating something poisonous. Cheyenne also informs Nick of a journal Adrian kept that may exonerate him. After Cheyenne leaves, Nick hears strange noises coming from the Forrester house. He investigates and finds Cheyenne bound and gagged on the attic carousel. Adrian confronts and attacks him, leading Adrian's father Cliff to attack Nick after mistaking him for the assailant. Adrian then knocks Cliff unconscious in defense of Nick, allowing the latter to subdue her with a punch. Acquitted, Nick goes to live with Amy in Seattle while Adrian is confined to a psychiatric hospital. Although she laments that Nick refuses to speak to her, respond to the many letters she's written, or accept her apologies, her doctor comments that she's making good progress, unaware that she's now starting to fall in love with him. In the final scene, Adrian returns to his hospital room, where he stares at a photo of the doctor and his wife before his mouth slowly curves into a wicked smile. Comments. The Crush received mostly negative reviews from critics upon its release and was not a major box office success, although it became especially popular through video rentals and cable television. In subsequent years, it has been labeled a cult film. Writer-director Alan Shapiro based the film on events in his own life. The girl Adrian was based on sued him for using her real name, Darian, for the character of Alicia Silverstone. As a result, when the film was re-edited for television, the character's name was changed from Darian to Adrian. Silverstone is still credited as playing Adrian Forrester on IMDb. The VHS and Laserdisc releases retained the original spoken dialogue calling the character Darian. The original theatrical trailer also refers to the character as Darian. As a final point, what would you do instead of Nick? Would it be worth suffering the consequences for a powerful beauty like Adrian, and succumbing to her charms and flirtations? In my case, Nick did the right thing. Since there is evil in all people, you always have to think about that. On the other hand, if you were Adrian, it's worth flirting and wooing Nick, because maybe you'll say no now, but if he keeps rejecting you, maybe you'll take it as a challenge. Anyway, finally, what do you think, girls? If the legal age in England and Japan is 16, it would be good to adopt that law elsewhere, arguing that everyone has the right to exercise their own free will in these matters and there shouldn't be a ban at an early age. At 16, you're allowed to endanger your life by driving. And this isn't just a comment. Ask an insurance agent, the statistics for 16-year-olds in accidents are high. Maybe giving them the right to decide on this isn't a bad thing. It's a complex approach, I know. It's been proposed in Germany and a media frenzy ensued, so that's why I'm here to offer my opinion. What do you think? I'm saying goodbye. Thanks for listening, bye.